So we are going to be making some cinnamon rolls today, one of my kids' favorites. I normally do it on the weekend because it takes quite a bit of time to do. What you're going to need for the cinnamon rolls is about 9 cups of flour, 2 cups of hot water. If I were to guess, like about 1.5 cups of brown sugar. I don't really measure it out because you're going to be sprinkling it on there, so if I were to give a guesstimate, maybe 1.5 to 2 cups. Raisins, if you'd like, those are optional. And then you're going to need 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 4.5 teaspoons or 2 packets of yeast, 1 cup of sugar, and 2 eggs. And this is just to do the cinnamon part. I will also let you know on how to do the frosting. For the frosting, you're going to need a 1/4 cup of butter, 4 cups of powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons of milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm not too sure if I said what butter you needed to. You're going to need a stick plus an extra 6 tablespoons. So quite a bit of butter for this recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and proof the yeast. You're going to need 1 cup of warm water, and then your 2 packets or 4.5 teaspoons of yeast, and then your 1 tablespoon of sugar. Alright, and then you're going to go ahead and put that off to the side, give it about 15 minutes to proof up, and then we will come back for that. While the yeast is in the oven in the proof setting, proofing, we are going to go ahead and start the next part, which is getting your 1 cup sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, 2 cups of hot water, and your 6 tablespoons of butter into the mixer. So what I like to do is go ahead and take the butter and kind of, don't do that. Don't let your butter go flying everywhere. But just slice up the butter. And then get your salt, 1 tablespoon. And then 1 cup of sugar. And then your 2 cups of hot water. And then you're just going to mix it until the butter, you can't see the butter anymore, so just on low setting. Get that going. Next, we are going to add in, once this is lukewarm and it's pretty well mixed, so it's lukewarm, it's not hot anymore, we're going to add in 2 cups of flour. Grab one of those, pour it in. Turn up the speed to, I think it's 4. Let that mix for a minute. Then we're going to add in the yeast mixture and then 2 eggs that I just got done beating. So once that gets a good mix in there, add in the rest of that. As you can see, our yeast is nice and proof, so we're going to go ahead and add that to the mix. Give that a little stir. we're going to add in our eggs. Two eggs. Let that mix until it is well combined. And then we're going to start adding in the rest of our flour. And I like to add it in about a cup at a time until it gets to like a smooth, satiny, and it doesn't stick anymore. It's been in there for a while. You just want to stop and check, and it is still really sticky, so you want to keep on adding your flour to it. Here in a little bit I will stop using the mixer and start mixing by hand, because then my mixer sounds like it's about to die because it's working so hard. So we're almost there, and we've gone through, I want to say, about 7-8 cups of flour, so we're almost there. Alright, so now it is smooth. There's no sticking. It has like a smooth, satiny feel to it. So what we're going to do is, I cleaned out the bowl. We're going to stick it back in there, cover it, and if you don't have the setting like I do on my oven where I can have it nice and warm at like 70 some odd degrees, you can just leave it somewhere warm. So, and it needs to rise for about 30 minutes, and I will show you what it looks like in 30 minutes after it's done rising. It did rise for a half an hour. We went ahead and cut them into 2 loaves. At the same time, once you get, I have a 17 by 11 cookie sheet with tinfoil on it. I put tinfoil on it because it's just so much easier to clean, or I will be scrubbing there forever trying to take all the cinnamon goo off. So we're going to put one of these back. Half a stick of butter melted is what I have here. And then now we're going to roll out the dough. I'm not the world's best at rolling it out. I just started making cinnamon rolls recently, so I'm still kind of figuring that part out. But every time I do it, they turn out great, so I must be doing something right. And I just have a little bit of flour on my counter so it doesn't stick to my counter. All the stuff that I've read is like roll out into a rectangle, but I don't know how people sit there and roll it out to a specific shape. I think it just rolls out the way it rolls out. I don't know. Thank you. Alright, so half a stick of butter. Just get it all over. I'm going to make one of the cinnamon rolls with raisins and the other one without, because some of us here like raisins in it, some of us don't like it. So I make one of each. There's the first one. My brown sugar got a little hard while it was sitting waiting for everything to rise. You want to liberally spread it everywhere. You can't go wrong with a bunch. I definitely know you can use too little, but I don't know if you can use too much. Now we're going to start rolling it. I roll it pretty tight. I don't know if there's like a certain preference, but I always try to go tighter. More layers. There's nothing wrong with more layers. You just work your way from one end to the other. And I kind of just combine, bring it over here so you can see the edges and pinch them together so it doesn't come undone. The two ends I always cut off because they're just too little to do anything with. So the sacrificial ends, I guess you can call them. And just pinching it all closed so it doesn't come undone when it's rising for the second time. That looks good. So we grab our cookie sheet, and I always start by cutting in half, then cutting in half, then cutting in half. So then it makes the pieces even when you're going. So you look at it, you go cut in half using a sharp knife. I've seen some people use dental floss, but a sharp knife works just as well. So then you get half of it again, cut it in half again, and then half again. And that gives you some pretty good even pieces. And when you place them on the cookie sheet, you want to give them quite a bit of space because you want them to double in size. So, not too close together. Those over there. Again, start in half, half, half. And that leaves your cinnamon rolls pretty even. I even have more room to play with, so we'll spread them out even more. Alright, we're going to cover them with a towel and put them in the oven. They're going to rise for about another hour. So that one is good to go. And then we'll start on the next one. So kind of clean off your little work area. And start the process all over again. Here's the second one. This one is without the raisins. It's good to go into the oven for another hour for proofing. Like I said, it's about an hour. You want them to double in size, so it does take them a little while to get that big. But I will show you in about an hour how big they are, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, it has been about an hour. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what they're looking like. So give me 2 seconds to get it out of the oven. Oh, one fell over. Man down, man down. All right. So they got pretty big, but I want them to get a little bit bigger. So we're gonna put them back in there maybe for about another 20 minutes. Let's take a look at the other one. We're getting close. That's looking pretty good. I'll let them go ahead and go for maybe another 20 minutes, see if I can get them to get a little bit bigger. So 20 more minutes and then we should start baking them. It's been another 20 minutes. They looked perfect. So my oven is preheating to 350. They're gonna go in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes. As soon as they get a nice like golden brown bark to them, and then you'll let them cool off and put the icing on. If you want icing, you don't have to have icing on there, but if you do, I will show you guys how to make icing for them. It has been about 20 minutes, and as you can see, they're a golden brown, but I want it a little bit darker, so we're gonna put them in for just a little bit longer, so maybe like another 5 minutes. So it'll be 25 minutes total. So 5 more minutes in the oven. It has been in there for about another 4 minutes, and they look perfect. There you go. Watch out. I need you to move out of the way, please. So I got them cooling on a wire rack. Once they are slightly cooled down, I'm going to go ahead and ice them. So next up comes the icing. Now we're going to make some icing. We have 4 cups of powdered sugar. So that's 4 cups in here. We have a quarter stick of butter softened. So let's go there. Quarter stick. And then 4 tablespoons of milk, which 2 ounces is 4 tablespoons. So 2 ounces of milk and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm gonna go ahead and mix it. Alright, and the cinnamon rolls are over there cooling. Can I try?
Yeah.
Thanks. And sometimes we might need just a little more milk. Can you please go get me some milk?
Milk coming up.
Add in, say, about another tablespoon. More. That's the icing, guys. We're just waiting for the cinnamon rolls to now cool off a little bit more. Once they are, we will put some icing on them.
And if it didn't cool down, it would be like when you're putting it on, it would be all droopy.
All right. Perfect. Now we are going to do the icing. So I just grab a little dollop and spread it around. Right. There's our finished product. There's some cinnamon rolls with some icing. As you notice, I didn't put a whole lot of icing on there. I have 5 kiddos, and last thing I need is them bouncing off the walls because I added a lot of icing. So I just put a little dollop on each one. You guys can do however you like. If you want a whole lot, put a whole lot. If you don't want a whole lot, don't do it. And if you don't want any at all, that's also fine too. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys make some and share some pictures of me. All right, thank you.